Hey, what's going on, YouTube? I'm Maui Goomba, the coach of the Binghamton Toracats, bringing you a full draft analysis of the second season of the Hoenn Draft League, including at the end of this video there will be a power rankings that I'm not even sure I agree with, but anyway, let's get right into this. Let's review the rules. DLC 2 moves allowed, cut moves allowed, no Dynamaxing or Gigantamaxing, snake drafting style, and I'll leave this up for a few seconds for you guys to read it. You guys can pause it also. So without further ado, let's start out. This is in draft order. So with the first pick of the draft, it was the Toronto Staraptors. They grabbed Tapu Lele. Probably, there was a lot of debate in the league between if Lele or Coco were the better one. Personally, I gotta give it to Coco. It's faster. Its move hits almost as hard as Expanding Force. You know, Rising Voltage. Overall, I like this draft for the most part. I wish he said he doesn't like Psychic Spam, so I guess it makes sense. But I would have really preferred to see Lele paired up with Mega Alakazam, which is legal in this. Mega Alakazam is not allowed to run Nasty Plot, however, but Mega Alakazam is legal in the league. And it gets Expanding Force, so pair that with Tapu Lele, and it's just terrifying. But, I mean, Tapu Lele deservedly the first pick in the draft, I feel. There were a couple of other things that could have gone first, and they did go pretty close to first, but the next pick, Tornadus T, really good regenerator Pokemon. I really like Tornadus T. Gives immunity to ground, which he has a couple of ground weaknesses. Next pick, Raikou. I used this in actually the first season of the Hoenn Draft League. I actually had originally drafted Heliolisk and dropped it for this just because I like Raikou more, and Raikou was actually a lower tier because we used Smogon tiers, which was a massive mistake. Next up, we have Komoa without Clangorous Soul, which is interesting. I mean, it's an incredible Pokemon with or without Clangorous Soul, and I think he's going to show that this season. Honestly, its capabilities of being a really bulky Pokemon or running mixed sets make it so hard to prep for, and I've had to prep for it in the past, and I hate prepping for it. It's such a good Pokemon. Next up, we have Empoleon. It's not my favorite Steel type or Water type. I like it in the context of just playing Gen 4, but gets Rocks, I'm pretty sure. The typing's not terrible, all things considered, and I think it's a C tier Pokemon, so definitely worthy of getting picked up at that point. Yeah, it gets Stealth Rock, Defog. It actually has quite a good moveset, I have to say, and gets Aqua Jet. You know what, I do like that pick. Next up, Mega T-Tar. Oh, fuck. I'm not sure why he picked up Mega T-Tar. Like, it doesn't have synergies with any of his team. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up switching it. Don't get me wrong, it's a super bulky Pokemon, and it probably doesn't need to have synergies with everything on your team to be useful. I just think if you're going to grab Mega T-Tar, you should probably be looking at running a Sand team, which he doesn't really have. He doesn't have any components for a Sand team. Next up, Alolan Muck, another Pokemon I drafted I didn't draft, but I had last season. Put moderately good work in for the games I did bring it in. I like Alolan Muck quite a bit. Its only weakness is ground. He has decent coverage for ground types. I feel like this next pick, Licky, he sniped me, and I'm kind of mad about that. Licky is an insanely good Wish Pokemon for being, I believe it's E tier. And I really did want it, because, like, it's such a good Pokemon. I can't praise it enough. It gets knockoff, and it's super bulky. High HP to pass Wish on. Magmortar for a Fire type. Honestly, his Steel Dragon Fairy I really like Empoleon, Komoa, Lele. That's a good Steel Dragon Fairy. His Fire, Grass, and Water are just... I like Empoleon. I think it's a good... I think that is good, but Magmortar and Torterra for his Grass and Fire leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. Torterra being quad weak to Ice, and not the best Pokemon in the world. Let me see its stats. It's got decent bulk and decent attack, but it's super slow at 56 speed. I just think there was probably a better grass type you could have grabbed. I've used Torterra in the past, and just... it's disappointing, to say the least. And last but not least, Miss Magius. I don't know quite a bit about Miss Magius. I believe it's a good special attacker? Yeah, it's got 105 special attack, 105 speed. I mean, it's not the worst Pokemon available, and it's another ground immunity to cover Muk's weakness, Raikou's weakness. Overall, I feel like this draft definitely could have been better, but I do like it. I really wish he had paired Lele with Alakazam though. I know he said he doesn't like it, but I just think it would have been perfect for him. Second pick in the draft were the Bulbahampton Wanderers and Bulbs. And in the second pick, Naganadel went. We are allowing Naganadel. Probably gonna regret that, as I'm gonna have to face that twice this season, which just doesn't sound like something I really want to do, but I have to, and I'm gonna regret it heavily. He went for a Fairy Dragon Steel very early in his first 3 picks. Clefable, probably the best Fairy type available besides the Tapus. And the Tapus went all in the first round, so when he grabbed Naganadel, the Tapus were already gone. Clefable's my favorite Fairy type, personally. Actually, I've drafted Clefable and Excadrill last season, and they put in quite a bit of work. Clefable was kill leader for a little bit there. It ended up falling off because I stopped bringing pretty much the same set, just coverage, special attack hitter. Drill, I really didn't utilize too well. I didn't have Sand. Like, he does have Sand. But Drill's probably the best Sand abuser in the format, barring Landorus Eye, which he also grabbed Landorus Eye, which it can't run Sheer Force, it has to run Sand Force, so it makes sense to only draft it in a Sand team. Sandaconda as his only Sand setter is really bad, though, because he's reliant on it getting hit. And it's very easy to just Toxic it to death. It has good defenses, so Toxicing it to death isn't just a waste of time either, because it could end up working out better than just trying to kill it. Because if you try to chip it away, he gets Sand up for pretty much free. It's not going to get one-shot most of the time. Mega Banette, he had to, because the point system, he kind of, like, it was kind of screwy. He, originally I didn't think it was possible for what he did, but yeah, this is a D-tier Mega. Prankster Destiny Bond is absolutely terrifying, though, for a D-tier Mon to get, I think it's 150 base physical attack, and gets Poltergeist in the new DLC. I'm not opposed to thinking that Mega Banette might be a C tier now. Oh, it's 165 attack, so it's even higher than what I said. Mantine is his water type. He doesn't have a... Oh, wait. His Fire Water Grass is better than the Staraptors, in my opinion, but I'm not a fan of Mantine too much. I feel like electric types are super common, and being quad weak to it just doesn't seem smart. I mean, the 140 special defense is really good, though, don't get me wrong. I just feel like I don't actually know if there were better water types than any of the lower tiers, but I'm sure there were. I think Poliwrath was lower, and I like Poliwrath more. Poliwrath gets some good moves in in the new DLC, so. Incineroar is his fire and dark type. Incineroar is insanely good. I mean, you can look at Wolfie saying in VGC that it's one of the more, I don't know if the word was cancerous, but cancerous mons for VGC. Like, it gets Fake Out, it gets Parting Shot, it's a dark type, so Prankster moves don't work on it. Honestly, Incineroar is probably one of the best fire types you could grab. And for his his grass type Pokemon to finish up that core, Vileplume. I have it in the LET. Vileplume is quite a good Pokemon. Is like an insanely good Pokemon in my opinion. It ended up being E tier in this because it wasn't on the document, and I added it afterwards. Made sure everyone had a chance to draft it. Vileplume's an excellent pick. Like, Grounded Poison, Strength Sap, Sleep Powder. I can't say good enough about this low-tier grass-type Pokemon. I really like it. The only issue with it is it doesn't resist ground-type, but whatever. He has enough. He has a few things to deal with ground-types effectively. Next up, Electabuzz and Primeape. I don't want to get too into these because I don't really like either of these Pokemon. I mean, he has to go up against Urshifu twice, so it could be smart to, if he runs an Anger Point, Primeape Focus Sash maybe, and Wicked Blow goes into it, and he lives on one, gets Anger Point, and he just reverse sweeps. That could be a pretty good thing for him to do. Try it. I'm not opposed to looking at that, or like, I'm not opposed to that idea. Like, if I had it, I would run that at some point. Electabuzz, I don't know too much about Electabuzz or Electivire to really get into it. I just, there were faster electric types, but I don't know if faster always means better in every case. Next up is I was the third pick in the draft. I won't get too much into mine because I already have a draft analysis up. But we drafted Urshifu first. I quite like my team personally, but I understand that my Steel Core, or my Steel Fairy Dragon Core is only 2 Pokemon, and Berserker's not the greatest of Steel types to have, but overall, I quite like it. I mean, I'm biased because it's my pick. I love to see other people's analysis of my draft. Next pick was the Colorado Agrons, who did draft a Tapu. He drafted Tapu Koko. I honestly really like this team. I mean, the Steel Fairy Dragon Core of Koko, Aggron, and Druddigon is unbelievably terrifying. Druddigon is one of my favorite dragon types, and I'd love to draft it at some point because it gets Glare, which can paralyze ground types, and just sounds really nice. Rough Skin's a great ability. And his Fire, Water, Grass isn't terrible either. It's Tangrowth, Infernape, and Vaporeon. All 3 very good Pokemon. And a general rule of thumb I like, I kind of not stole, but got the idea from another competitor in the league, is to have your core be 2 bulky, 1 offensive. And in this case, his 2 bulky for his Steel Fairy Dragon are Aggron and Druddigon, while his offensive is Koko. And then his 2 bulky and his Fire, Water, Grass are Tangrowth and Vaporeon, while his Fire type is the offensive, which I quite like. Landorus T is such a pain in the ass, and it's such a good Pokemon. I was thinking about drafting it for quite a bit, but it's an A tier, and so, bro, I mistakenly put it in A tier. That won't happen next season, but Silvally is so hard to prep for because you don't know what type he's going to bring. Uxie is the bulkier of the... I believe Uxie is bulkier of the lakes. Yeah, it is. Okay. I believe it gets Rocks. It gets Memento U-Turn. Excellent pickup, in my opinion. Drapion is one of my favorite dark types to use. Like, I wanted to use it for so long, and I almost drafted it if I didn't get Urshifu. I was going to draft it for sure. I really like Drapion personally. Like, it's such a good Pokemon, in my opinion. Cryogonal, I don't know quite a bit. I know it's pretty fast, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it is. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to pull up stuff on the side. Yeah, it's 105 speed, good special defense, really piss poor defense, which is kind of the problem because it's gonna get hit by a lot of incoming physical attacks. But it gets rapid spin, fast rapid spin, fast to fog. It has reliable recovery, freeze dry. I think it was a good pickup for where it was. I believe it's E tier. I'm looking forward to seeing how he uses it this season. Next up, we have the Munster Mudbray, I believe, who is the person I got the tip for having 2 bulky, 1 offensive in your cores, and I believe he follows through. Yeah, he really does follow through here. He has 2 fairy types, which I don't really knock. Having multiple fairy types can't hurt you. So his Fairy Dragon Steel Core is Ferrothorn, Gardevoir, Wigglytuff, and Kyurem. I wanted Wigglytuff. If I didn't get... Wigglytuff was first if I didn't get Licky... And then Licky for Wish Setter. Wigglytuff's such a good Pokemon in my opinion, but Ferrothorn... In this format, it's definitely lower usefulness than in a different setting, like in a Galar Dex, because Hidden Power is available. But he has enough answers to switch into a Hidden Power Fire that I don't think he really cares. Arcanine is such a good Fire-type Pokemon for where it is. It's a C-tier Pokemon. But, I mean, Ferrothorn gets Spikes, I'm pretty sure, and Stealth Rock and Leech Seed. It's such a good stall Pokemon. I was kind of expecting to go with Ferrothorn Pex Core, but he ended up not. Kind of wish he had. Like, I don't knock him for not, but that's such an insanely good core. Hard to deal with for most teams. Next up, Arcanine. I've already said I really like it. Intimidate is... I mean, it's Intimidate. What are you supposed to say? The only issue with Intimidate now is there is the item that increases speed when a Pokemon gets intimidated, which I'd love to run at some point, but I don't... We'll see. Third pick, or like third up on the list is Gardevoir, because this isn't actually third pick. He picked Mega Aerodactyl first. Gardevoir is a really hard hitter. It gets Trace, which Gardevoir is probably one of the best counters to weather teams available in anything, because it can just grab Swift Swim and Scarf and be faster than pretty much anything, unless that it's Scarfed too. Pangoro is kind of the knockoff or Urshifu, I'd say. Similar stats, I'm pretty sure. Actually, Pangoro you don't see drafted a lot. It gets Iron Fist and Mold Breaker. It's definitely slower. It doesn't want to take a Fairy type move, but then again, neither does Urshifu. It has three really solid abilities though, and access to some setup. I don't know if it gets Bullet Punch, so it has some priority in the Fairy types, but I don't think it gets any other priority. I'm checking now. Yeah, that's its only priority is really Bullet Punch. Next up, Gastrodon. In a league where Dracovish didn't get drafted, which it didn't, I don't think Water Absorbers have nearly as much value as if they, as if Dracovish was picked. But that doesn't mean to say Dracovish won't get picked up at some point, so I think it's smart to at least have that. The Gastrodon's a really solid ground type, only weak to grass type, and he has quite a bit of grass resistance that it makes sense to have Gastrodon on his team. Mega Aerodactyl is actually an A tier Mega instead of being like B or C. I believe it's usually B. And that's because in the second DLC, it gets Dragon Dance, which means it has reliable setup. I believe it gets Roost, so reliable recovery, Tough Claws is an ability, and outright insane moveset. Like, it's a rather strong Pokemon, to be honest. Next up, Gengar. I've used Gengar before in another Galar Dex league other than the, LAT. It was actually Gigantamax Gengar. Almost carried me to the finals on its own. Gengar is such a good Pokemon. Obviously not Gigantamax, but I quite like it. I've already said my piece about Wigglytuff. Kyurem. Specs Kyurem will just drop a Draco and kill almost anything, or a Freeze Dry, or an Ice Beam, or Rock Slide, or whatever. Kyurem, a late pick Kyurem because no one else could really snipe him. Just actually a huge brain play. As weird as that is to say, like, it worked perfectly for him that he got Kyurem. Like, that's such an insane Dragon type, and that's the offensive of his Dragon Fairy Steel, which I like. Looking at it, he doesn't really have an offensive in his Fire, Grass, Water. I guess it's Arcanine, but even that's not that offensive. Next up, Alolan Raichu. His reasoning, he explained, was because he's going to be facing Tapu Koko twice this season, so having Alolan Raichu makes sense, which I agree. I think it was a smart pickup. It's his second Psychic type. It's only Electric type. He has enough ground immunities that are like ways to deal with ground types that I don't think it's a bad pickup at all. And lastly, he grabbed Tentacruel. Believe it's grounded. Yeah, it should be grounded poison. Grounded poison, rapid spin, toxic spikes, you name it. I really like Tentacruel also. I would use it. Next pick I actually can't remember, so we'll find out together. It was the Tennessee Tortuga, the champion from Season 1, the Tennessee Tortuga. And he reunited on his first pick with Galarian Darmanitan. The Darmanitan is allowed to run Zen mode or Guerrilla Tactics. He's not limited to just one of them, which puts him, I believe this is this was S tier for sure. Galarian Darmanitan is one of the hardest hitting wall breakers in Galar Dex or National Dex by far. This thing is insanely good. Honestly, Zen mode's kind of terrifying. There's no real easy way to prep for this thing. Next up, we have Tapu Fini. This was the third Tapu that went. I think this is the worst out of the 4 Tapus, personally. But that doesn't mean it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was an A tier. This was not an S tier Tapu. I do like it, though. I think Tapu Fini is gonna... I mean, it gets defog. I think they all do, but that's beside the point. I don't know enough. I know a lot about 3/4 of the Tapus, but Tapu Fini is the one that I'm never really sure. Like, it's the bulkier of them, and as we know, the bulkier of the like set is usually the worst. And also, it doesn't get to put down a water terrain; it gets to put down fairy terrain. The rest of them get to put down their type's terrain. Obviously, there's no water terrain, so it makes sense because it's rain. But still, can't help but thinking Fini's the worst, but it's still a good pickup. Goodra is the best special defensive Pokemon you're gonna get, barring Deoxys Defense, which is legal in S tier. And actually, just an excellent Pokemon. Like, I don't think I need to explain why Gooch is good, and I like the pickup. He doesn't have a Steel type, so he can't actually say much about his Fairy Dragon Steel, but his Fairy Dragon is really good. Galvantula, Webs, and Darmanitan is absolutely terrifying, and I hate that we let him get this. I mean, there's several Web setters, but he got probably the best one, barring maybe Vikavolt. Next up, we have Venusaur. He's got like a Walmart Sun team, as some people were calling it, with Ninetales, Houndoom, and Venusaur. I don't know if I'd even go as far to say it's a Walmart. That's actually a really good Sun team. Like, Venusaur was used last season by the Hot Coffee Synestes and got quite a few kills running Sun without actually having a dedicated Sun setter, which is probably the crazier thing. Mega Houndoom, I've never seen Mega Houndoom used. So I'm extremely excited to see how this works out. I actually think it's a really good pick. He had to pick a lower Mega. I kind of would have liked to see Mega Steelix, because it would have rounded up his Fairy Dragon Steel and given him a bulkier ground type than Diggersby. But I respect the Mega Houndoom. Ninetales, it's not a lower Ninetales. Only Ninetales didn't get picked, but Ninetales did. That's interesting to me. But I believe Ninetales is rather bulky. It's his Sunsetter, so I can't really knock him too much. I would have liked to see a bulkier Pokemon like Torkoal for Sunset, but I like Ninetales too. Diggersby, I have experience facing Webs and Diggersby before, and I lost because of the Webs, straight up. And Diggersby quick attack with a huge power is terrifying. Colossal I've used in another Gaillard format. It's a rock setter, it's a spinner, it gets maximized speed if it gets hit with a water type. The sets you can run in a draft format are crazy, and the Tortuga have brought some pretty insane sets previously, so I'm kind of scared that he got Colossal. Sigilyph I have used previously as well, and I quite liked it. It's a rather fast Pokemon, it gets stored power, Cosmic Power, Calm Mind. Girder's probably like the premier bulky fighting type in a low tier setting, so overall, I do quite like the Tortuga's draft. I am absolutely terrified of Galarian, Darmanitan, and Webs though. Next up, we have the Kansas City Kingdras. I'm not too particular fond of this draft. Rillaboom Volcanion as his Fire, Water, Grass is really good though. Like, he's drafted Rillaboom quite a bit, and he's used Rillaboom relatively well, I have to say. I will give him credit for that. His Fairy Dragon Steel of Ribombee and Duraludon, I don't really like Ribombee too much. I know it's got Webs, it's got Quiver Dance, so it's a good Pokemon. I feel like there were better Fairy types to grab, and having used Duraludon, I have to say, it hits decently hard, but its abilities are completely useless. So I'm interested to see like what he does with Duraludon personally. Cloyster, it does one thing, but it does do it well, but it only does one thing, and it presses Shell Smash, Rock Blast, or Icicle Spear. Like I said though, the one thing it does do is impressively good, but the issue is that it only does that one thing. Next up, we have Mega Ampharos. I've also never seen Mega Ampharos used. I know it's extremely slow, which is really its problem, but I am excited to see that, because it is another Dragon type for his Dragon Steel Fairy. Next up, Vivillon. I don't know if 2 Bug types is the way I would have gone, especially when this is his only Flying type and his only immunity to Ground type. He's used Vivillon several times, and he's had success with it, so I don't knock him for picking up Vivillon. I just don't... I'm not a fan of the double bug type, and that'll come back later. Galarian Slowbro is an offensive Slowbro, and I don't think offense really fits Slowbro all that well, so... I haven't seen it used much, so I can't say much besides I'm not a fan of a lot of this draft, like I said. Palossand is an excellent ghost type, ground type. It's his only ghost or ground type, but I do like it. Porygon 2 is insanely bulky with Eviolite, and it does pretty good damage with Stab Tri-Attack. I do like the Porygon pickup. The pickups I really like the picks I really like on his team are Rillaboom, Volcanion, Porygon, and Terrakion, which we'll get into Terrakion. He got this last pick, like last round Terrakion, which is kind of crazy. And I think Terrakion was a really good pickup for the King Jizz. Next up, we should have the Orlando Mews. No, we have the Chicago White Sox. Okay. He's run weather every time I have seen him run a team. Just straight up. I will link people's YouTube channels if they have them, and I will edit the video to add them as I find them. He's run rain every single time, so now that he has rain and snow, or like hail, I'm not too keen on facing him, because he's an insane prepper, and I can't say good enough about him, and he has Mew. Mew is A tier. I petitioned for it to be S tier, and people disagreed, but I definitely think Mew is an S tier. There's no way it should be A tier, in my opinion, but it was. Overall, Mew, Urshifu Rapid Strike. Politoed is kind of a meme within the league because of a certain sweep with it. I won't get into detail. I might actually play a replay of that and record it at some point. Breaking it down, I love the Zebstrika pick because it gives him immunities to Grass or Electric, which is important because he's in the division with Rillaboom. He has a Regenerator. I would break down I don't want to break down this team into singular picks because I want to break it down as I think singling them out, they're good Pokemon for the most part. I don't know about the Arctozolt. I haven't seen it enough. My biggest issue stems from the fact I don't like weather in draft format because it's really easy to bring a team that just counters weather. The thing about it though is he has 2 weathers instead of 1, weather setters instead of 1, which puts him kind of in a different league. I would have loved to see him pick up Beartic because it gets Slush Rush and Swift Swim, but he didn't, and I kind of hope he switches for it because I think that's a really smart pickup. Next up should be the Orlando. No, okay, I keep getting it wrong. Rockford Roselia's, this draft was incredible. My only knock for this draft on its own is his grass type is Tangela. He does not have another grass type, so his grass, fire, water is terrible. Like, not the best. Mega Scizor as a Mega is terrifying. He has a decent amount of switch-ins for fire type, Rhyperior, Chandelure, Slowking, Latias. Like, I think it was a good pick. Latias is the bulkier of the Eon duo. Togekiss is RNG encapsulated because, you know, has Super Luck, which means if you run it with Razor Claw, it has a 50-50 chance of critting every time. Or you can run the Serene Grace set and just flinch people to death, which I hate. He has Webs, Vikavolt. Chandelure I actually wanted, so I do like Chandelure. It's a slower Pokemon, but it's got good offenses. Ditto is impossible to prep for. Well, it's not impossible to prep for, it's hard to prep for. You can't really run setup versus Ditto, because it'll just steal it and use it better. Mandibuzz is an excellent Pokemon. Scolipede. Like, the only knock I have on this draft is Tangela being the only grass type. But that's not the biggest issue in the world. Next up is the Orlando Mews, please. Yes, okay. Drafted Mega Latias. The bulkier of the two once again. I do like Mega Latias. It's fast still and still offensive. Cinderace has Libero, which is fuck. Let's just go with fuck. Next season, I believe I'm going to be allowing Greninja with Protein, so it's not the end of the world, but Libero, Cinderace is terrifying. Tapu Bulu, Grassy Glide, and Grassy Surge on Bulu is S tier. I believe I put him in S tier. He might be A tier. Yeah, he's A tier, never mind. Next up, we have Gigalith. He said he kind of went for a Walmart sand team, and I tend to agree. Like, his sand users are Dracozolt and Stoutland, which isn't the greatest. Nidoqueen I really like. Elomomola probably has the highest HP stat of anything that was drafted, or close to it. I like it. It's probably one of the... well, with the highest HP stat, it's the best wish setter in the game, or available. Draco's ult, I quite like. I don't like the doubling up on the dragon type, though. Klefki, great prankster Pokemon, piss poor offensive capabilities, though. But, and not the best bulk, but I do like Klefki for, the prankster. His Fairy Dragon Steel isn't my favorite by far, and his Grass Water is non-existent because he doesn't have a Grass type. Honchkrow I was considering using as well. It's a really good Pokemon. Stoutland I was considering using in the LAT with my Sand team, and it didn't. Charjabug wasn't on the document, but I added it because it was off the document. It's an E tier. It's his web setter. He was really set on Vikavolt and got sniped. Next up is the Los Angeles Lakers. Or not Lakers, wow. Los Angeles Lucarios. I'm not even a basketball fan, and I got that mixed up. He actually didn't draft this team. We had somebody in place of him. It was the Chanel Island Ferrets, and they kinda just stopped making picks. I won't name the coach. So the only pick he kept from the original draft was Dragapult. Megalopony is terrifying, and I'm surprised that it went the entire draft without being touched. Sylveon, I mean, his Fairy Dragon Steel is Celesteela, Sylveon, Dragapult. That's arguably the best one in the league, which I'm not too happy about dealing with. I mean, I actually don't face him, so... oh wait, yes I do, never mind. Greninja, Liavani, and Rotom Heat as his Fire, Water, Grass. I like Rotom Heat and Greninja. I have no idea about Liavani. Or Pyukumuku for that matter. I don't really know what that does either. Celesteela is the only Steel Flying that got picked up in the draft. Between Skarmory, Celesteela, and Corviknight, only one got picked. And that's kind of surprising that Celesteela is the best out of the three, but the other two should have been gone too. Avalugg and Oricorio. Oricorio is hard to prep for because he can bring all four of them. Like, not at once, but he could bring any of the four of them. That's better wording. Avalugg, insanely bulky, gets body pressed to abuse that physical bulk. And it actually, like, special hitters will just wallop it, but I think he's good enough to know not to. I also didn't go over Nidoking. I like it a lot. Sheer Force is an insanely good ability, and I've seen Nidoking used before, and it's really good. With the last picks, the Oregon Golducks. Genesect is legal, yes. I actually stick by it. I don't think Genesect is the worst off Pokemon to deal with. I think Genesect is a fairly balanced Pokemon in draft because you can counter it. Although with Heatran it makes it a lot harder to counter Genesect because those two synergize really well with Flash Fire. Heatran Scarfed Eruption, absolutely terrifying. And I'm not looking forward to it. I don't face him, I know that for sure. No, never mind. Made a mistake. We do face him. Grimmsnarl as his Fairy and Dark type I quite like. I quite like Grimmsnarl. It doesn't need to only run, like, Screams. It can run Prankster, Rest, Bulk Up, which is terrifying as well. Inteleon, I think you guys have an idea of my opinion on Inteleon after dealing with it against KJ and the Cleveland Indites in the LAT. Its spec's really good. It's really fast. It doesn't need to be Scarfed. But if it is, it'll outspeed most things. Eldegoss is his Grass type. Eldegoss is bulky and gets Rapid Spin. I can't say too much bad about it. It's not my favorite Pokemon, but it's not my least favorite Pokemon. Manectric, I've also I don't think I've ever seen anyone use it that I can remember, but I believe Manectric is probably one of the best electric type megas you're going to get. I think it's probably the highest tier. I don't think there is one in A tier. I don't remember there being any... Let me check the documents so I'm not just talking out of my ass. That's the wrong document. Give me a second, guys. Yeah, there are no A-tier Mega Electric types, so this is probably the best Mega Electric type available, so that makes sense. I should mention Mega Kangaskhan was available without Seismic Toss or Power Up Punch, so it didn't actually get picked. Claydol, pretty bulky ground type. It's his only ground type, and it's immune to ground at the same time. Archeops with heavy duty boots. I actually raised its tier. I believe it was E tier before I put it in D tier. Might even be worthy of being C tier, to be honest. Dragalge is a pretty good Pokemon. Like, Poison Dragon's a really good typing. Like, we see it on the Ganondorf. It's super bulky, it's slow, that's its probably biggest issue, but it hits pretty hard. Heracross gets a Mold Breaker. Oh wait, no. It gets Moxie and Guts and Swarm. Okay. I like Moxie Pokemon. I think it's a good late game sweeper if you can kill anything that'll wall it off early enough. And then Moltres, I believe it's E tier. Let me check. I have it up now. No, it's D tier. Probably not deservedly so because it's Moltres and it gets heavy duty boots as well. And we don't have an item clause, so he can run as many heavy duty boots as he wants. And he has ways to keep rocks off the field anyway. Overall, I quite like the Goldex draft. And without further ado, we're about 36 minutes into the recording. Let's go into the power rankings. I believe I did this number one, like the first person to last. Let's see. I believe I did. Power rankings. We have the Rockford Roselias. That's the Mega Scizor and company in first place. I'm in their division. I'm really fucking scared of them. Not gonna lie. Next up, I don't actually remember, so we're gonna find out together. I put the Oregon Golducks at second. We just saw their team. I think the synergy between Genesect and Heatran is really good. I do like that he utilized the wheel pick for that. That was really good. Third on the power rankings, we have the Los Angeles Lucarios. That's the team with Mega Lopunny and company. Mega Lopunny, Dragapult, Sylveon, etc. Probably one of the best Dragon Fairy Steel in the league. Fourth, we have the Colorado Agrons. I rate them quite highly because Coco, Aggron, and Druddigon are really good Fairy Dragon Steel, and then his Water Grass Fire is really good as well. Next up, we have the Bulbahampton Wanderers. It's really hard to rate some of these because I'm not a fan of his only setter being Sandspit Sandaconda. Like, I really do not like that. But it's hard to rate him lower when his Dragon Fairy Steel is Naganadel, Clefable, and Excadrill, which is arguably better than the Agrons. Especially with Excadrill with Sand. Next up, we have the Orlando Mews. It's hard to rate him higher because I don't like the lack of a grass type. And I don't like Charjabug too much. And I don't like the Walmart Sand. But it's hard to rate him any lower with Cinderace, Tapu Bulu, Mega Latias is like his offensive core. Next up, we have the Munster Mudbray. At this point, I really do like his team. And I think Kyurem's gonna be his kill leader personally, or Gengar. But at this point, like, it's hard to just make up my mind on who's better than who. And, like, I don't know... Like, this isn't an end-all, be-all power rankings, obviously. This is just my opinion and how I thought of everything. Mega Aerodactyl's definitely deservedly as an A-tier Mega. But being quad weak to ice definitely gives it a hindrance that it is going to have a hard time avoiding. 8th in the draft was the Toronto Staraptors. He could be so much higher if he had Alakazam. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Mega T-Tar with his team comp. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but right now I just don't see him being higher than 8th. Next up is me, Binghamton University Torracats. I didn't want to rate myself too high and sound biased. Maybe that's a bias in itself. My team's rather slow. I should announce now that we did trade Darmanitan for Salazzle. So I'm kind of excited to have a bit more speed and someone who can Poison Steel and Poison types. But I just feel like this is a team I would draft again. But the bottom tier Pokemon like Berserker, Frostlass. One second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. My mom came in. But Alright, I was talking about lower tier Pokemon. I don't hate Berserker, Frostlass, Zatsu, or Miltank. I just feel like there's better ones. And, like, I'm missing... I forgot what it was. Never mind. But... 10th on the list. What did I put in 10th? I put the Tennessee Tortuga. I'm probably going to eat my words on this one. I hate the lack of a Steel type. The Fire team's really good. I actually don't know how much I agree with putting the Tortuga lower than me. With Galarian, Darmanitan, and Webs. I think I'm definitely underestimating this team. Anyway, 11th pick is the Chicago White Sox. I remember this one greatly. I like the dual weathering because it's harder to prep for, but I still don't like weather teams too much. But the Mew, I hate putting him in 11th because I know what he's capable of. But I just feel like weather's pretty predictable and going to be hard for him to utilize perfectly. And 12th pick is the Kansas City Kingers, like the 12th in the power rankings. I can't get over the double bug type. I do like his Fire, Water, Grass, but his Steel, Fairy, Dragon leaves something to be desired, that it's Duraludon, Rabombi, and Ampharos. There's better Fairy types than Rabombi. There's better Dragon types than Duraludon and Ampharos you could have gone for. I do like the Porygon and Terrakion, like I've said, but I can't rate him higher than this, and I do feel bad, because he'll probably end up proving me wrong, but for right now, this is where I put him. Obviously, coaches, if you watch this, don't take it anything personally. This is just my opinion, and even then, it's not like I'm attacking you personally. Like, I don't even know how much of this I fully agree with, and I'm not going to do power ranking. I'm not going to update the power rankings based on, like, how the season goes, but obviously, like, your draft doesn't tell the whole story, and you guys can prove me wrong, and I'll probably prove me wrong by end up, like, being last or something. Like, please don't take any of this personally. Anyway, folks, I believe that is the end of it. Yep, there is nothing more. So, without further ado, I'm going to do our outro. I will see you guys soon for Week 1 against the Bulbahampton Wanderers. That should be coming out soon. I could be battling him tonight, the night I'm recording this, or it might be later. Regardless, that's going to be a good battle. Obviously, I do my, like... I show my team builder before the battle, so it won't happen, like, it won't, I won't be uploading a separate team builder, but I might actually just for this battle. I'm not positive yet. Without further ado, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.